Hi there, Allison Reeves, registered clinical counselor in private practice in lovely Oceanside, British Columbia. Well, this particular video, 15-minute video, is going to be all about boundaries. Boundaries are incredible, you guys. I'm known as the Boundary Queen. I used to be down in Victoria as a clinician, and I would give so many seminars on boundaries for caregivers, and not as frequently for folks living with chronic physical illness, even though I might have had a lot of clients that way. However, did I talk about boundaries in my sessions? You better believe it. Because most of the time, where we run into difficulties is all about boundaries. Okay, it's where we end and another person begins. So, for boundaries, the easiest one to talk about is skin. The skin on our body, it holds us. It separates me from you, from the next person. Boundaries hold all our innards. They hold all our feelings, our thoughts, our experiences, our memories. Boundaries are unique to every single person, okay? So I might have gone through exactly the same thing as you, like maybe we went to a party together. However, your memory of it, your thoughts about it, your feelings about it will be different from mine. There might be some overlap. They are different still. This is one of the times when you want to talk about the similarities of humans. We all have boundaries, okay? We all have them. We all have emotions, we all have sensations, we all have thoughts, we all have memories, we all have experiences. However, they are unique to every single individual, and that's where we really differ. So, one of the things that happens when we have a chronic physical illness is that our physical boundaries get violated a lot. Inadvertently, usually. However, if you've ever had someone in the medical profession, usually, well, it can sometimes be a family member, grab your arm and pull you around, or just say, I just have to do this for you, without ever asking. Probably the highest form of respect is if a person asks you. Of course, we have to be able to respond. Otherwise, they can't ask you. They'd have to just tell you, please know that I wish I could ask, and I wish you could tell me. I have to do this, X, Y, or Z. I mean, I'm going to give out some personal examples because they make it a little bit more concrete. I have MS. I've had it since I was 25, and at various times I've been paralyzed. And I haven't been able to hear or see or talk and things like that. Definitely couldn't write, all sorts of stuff. Definitely didn't have feeling, like body sensations, various parts of my body. And my thinking got all askew many a time. What happens with boundaries is that even though all that was happening to me, the idea is that my body is still private, it's still mine. I have the choice whether or not I want to be touched, whether I want to respond, whether or not I agree to something, whether or not ... In other words, I'm still Allison no matter what. And as such, I need to respect that, and I need others, or I want others to respect that too. Now, frequently people will try and tell us, well, this is for your own good, and they might be very accurate. Okay, that might be true. It also might not be. It might be that it's very accurate in their mind because they believe in the therapy, for example. However, we might not. So what do we do with that? I want you to know that it's quite all right to have differences. We don't have to agree. This is your life. for as long as you have it, and you have every right to do whatever you want to do, whatever you want to think, whatever you want to feel, and you also get the consequences of that. Okay, that's the part. I'm going to come up with a really, this might sound funny, sound strange. This is an example of expectations. I used to have plants, and every time I got hospitalized, my plants died. My husband just didn't water them, didn't feed them. And of course, every time I was hospitalized, I wasn't able to earn money. And oh, by the way, I developed MS before I could have an insurance policy, so I don't have any insurance and all that. So what happened was that I thought that meant that he didn't care for me because he didn't water my plants. That had nothing to do with it. The reality was he just didn't water the plants for whatever reason. But what happened was, because I chose to have plants and I couldn't take care of them, I also got the consequences of them not being cared for when I was gone. And that's the part about boundaries. If you choose to do something, it's not up to somebody else to be able to make that possible for you. It's nice if they do, and it's lovely perhaps, and it's not their responsibility. It is yours. You get the consequences if you can't do something. That's probably one of the harder things about coming to grips with a chronic illness, is when it really interferes with our life. We want to keep on doing things, and people are very, very kind. I'm not sure that the word is kind for this, but they play along with our desires, wanting desperately to not have the disease make itself known in our life as well. So sometimes people get absolutely worn out trying to take care of us in a way that keeps our dreams alive. Well, that's not respect. That's not you respecting your limitations. That's not the other person respecting their limitations or anything. Okay, so what's about boundaries on that one? Well, boundaries are where we don't interfere in another person's body or mind without asking first and getting permission to do that. You know, if you've got a belief that you should be able to continue on your life regardless of the Parkinson's, and everyone else should support you in that, well, you might have people agreeing to do that, but I gotta tell you something. If they are, they're not helping you. And you're manipulating. You're using your influence of that person's love for you to really pull the wool over their eyes too. You're pulling the wool over your own eyes. You're pulling it over their eyes too. The reality is that you do have Parkinson's. And it's nasty, and it affects both of you. So boundaries, when we can respect our own and realize, I'm tired, I need to stop talking. Or I'm tired, this medication's wearing me out, and I'm not sure I want to take it. I have to think about it. Or recognizing when you're starting to get paranoid, even though you're not scared, there's something, you can just feel it coursing through your body. That's when you're really listening to your body and you're respecting yourself. Because you see, other people won't be slowing down to where you need to perhaps be. When you can respect your own boundaries, people tend to respect yours as well. A good one is when, you can see this all the time, when people just kind of, as I said before, move your body around without asking. When you tell them no, not harshly no necessarily, no, hands off. You have to come to grips with the reality that you want it done in your way, and you may or may not get it done that way. However, what it also does is it reminds the other person that they don't have the right to move you at their pace. What's best, you see, is if you're both on the same side of the fence looking at the Parkinsons and figuring out, how can we do this together? And it's a bit humbling for both of you to realize, oh, it might be done a little bit differently than we had ever thought. However, highly respectful of boundaries, because I got to tell you something, they're emotional boundaries too. What that person feels is not your fault. What you feel is not that person's fault. There's a great saying in therapy world, no one can make you feel the way that you feel. You're the only one who can make you feel the way that you feel. That actually came through from David Burns. He was a psychiatrist down at Stanford University. Fabulous guy. I've done some training with him. Really, really fabulous. And it's all about cognitive therapy, and it's coming back to that reality that you are you, and I am I, or I am me. I am me. And what happens is that you can't get inside my head, like you can't take off the top of my head and futz about with my brain to make me feel a particular way or to make me think a particular way. That's all my doing. Same goes for the other person. You can't do that to them. So when we're respecting boundaries, what we're doing is we're allowing a person to have their own feelings, their own thoughts, without taking it personally. The same thing goes. We're having feelings and thoughts, and that's not their business. You know, they didn't have it, they didn't make it, and they can't make us feel a particular way. So when someone says, oh, you don't be sad, don't be upset, or anything like that, the idea is that's not theirs to be able to do. And it's really quite something. So what I'm trying to get across here is something that's very, very difficult, and I hope I'm making sense. I'm going to come back and talk about this in a variety of other ways. What happens when we have good boundaries, though, is that we tend to be kinder, more compassionate, a bit slower, definitely more real. And we start to really have the sense of honoring another person and honoring ourselves. It's really quite something, you know. And I think with boundary health, you can always tell when there's a good relationship going, because people are respecting another person and they're not taking umbrage when somebody says something or feels something and expresses it, and they're actually kind to each other's bodies. I think with Parkinson's and with MS, what happens is inadvertently boundaries get kind of smushed because somebody thinks they're helping us when they're moving us about. Well, if we haven't asked for them to move us about, that might be problematic, you know. So I just want you to know that this is a really important deal, important subject, and I hope I'm making sense. Please let me know if this is useful, because really boundary health is just superb. Thank you very much. Alison Reeves, registered clinical counselor, practicing in the most wonderful oceanside area of Vancouver Island. Bye-bye.